Welcome to Community Time. First, let me start off by just thanking everyone for your understanding and your work to be able to move to level 3 today. I know this wasn't an easy move, especially with the 3A days back together in a row, but it really was needed. As we've seen, we've had a rise in number of cases and students being quarantining in our school community. While we feel good and we remain confident in the measures on campus and the fact that we have not seen spread or high-risk exposures on campus, we felt it had risen to a level in which being able to space out and keep only half the number of students on campus each day really was going to put ourselves in the best position for at least a week's time. Hopefully things return and we're able to move back to level 2 this next following week. That's only going to be possible, though, if we continue to remain vigilant around our measures, around our hand washing, around social distancing, and around wearing a mask at all times. We've talked about this in recent weeks, that it's easy to have that fatigue as this thing continues to go on, but it really is important that we double down on this. We've seen a little slippage, and I'm going to ask for you to really begin again to focus on things such as using the QR codes to check in and out of every desk that you're in. When you come in and off campus, make sure that you're checking in before school. Remember that you stop in at your advisor, you get your temperature check, and do that before going to class. It's vital that we do that each and every day, each and every time we sit in a seat, so that our contact tracing efforts can move forward. If we do that, we put ourselves in position, like we've said, to have the things that we want to have. This week, I know we were all looking forward to hall decorations and somewhat of a normalcy in our homecoming celebration, but unfortunately, that's not possible this week. Hopefully, we can have an opening convocation event still down the road, because it's important for our seniors and our kindergartners to enjoy and experience that tradition here at Randolph. We want that to continue to happen, but it will take everybody pulling together. And as you look nationally, numbers are rising. In our Huntsville community, numbers are rising. And so we can do this, and we can do this well, but it does take everybody pulling together to do their part in this. So today we have two more senior speeches, Eliana Horowitz and Emma Hudson. Please welcome them to the podium at the Thurber Arts Center for their senior speeches.
Good afternoon. Everyone has always told me that I am way too hard on myself. I think too much, I put too much pressure on myself. I would be lying if I said this wasn't somewhat true. I have always wanted to do and be the best at everything I'm involved in: academics, athletics, and student groups. I make it difficult for myself to do that, though, because I play 3 sports, take some difficult classes, and I'm in many student organizations. It can be overwhelming sometimes, there's no doubt, but it is what makes me, me. My passion for my activities fuels my fire, and the responsibility that I have to them makes me feel like I'm contributing to my community and to bettering myself. However, I have only learned that recently. When I was younger, I was much more uptight and upset when I was unable to achieve the way that I deemed acceptable. When I was in middle school, up until about 9th grade, I would cry about any mistake I made. I am a crier, plain and simple. I cry when I'm angry, frustrated, sad, or happy. Basically, any strong emotion can bring tears to my eyes. I'm not ashamed of that by any means, but I used to let it get in the way of performing on the court and field. Almost every time I was up to bat and struck out, tears sprang to my eyes as I walked back to the dugout. When I made an error at shortstop, I wouldn't stop being able to think about it the entire game. When I missed a shot in basketball, I would be afraid to take another one. There was one particular moment that snapped me out of this trend of self-loathing. It was my freshman year, and I was practicing with the varsity volleyball team. It wasn't my best day, at school or at practice. We were practicing digging and converting a good pass to offense. There was one ball that I tried to dig and completely shanked it. And back then, I couldn't brush my mistakes off. Tears started to well up. I tried to control it and move on, but I was frustrated. I felt like I couldn't get anything right. My volleyball coach, Jen, looked at me and said, "Eliana, you are going to need to get it together. If you don't, I'm going to take you out of the entire drill." Take me out of the drill? No. There was no way I was going to let her take me out of the drill. I needed to show these varsity girls what I was made of. Take me out? That would be the ultimate failure. Now to you guys, what my coach said to me that day might not sound like a big deal, but the way she said it to me, I could tell it was the last straw. She was done with my tears and my anger every time I made the slightest mistake. They were holding me back. It is really difficult to play a continuous game of volleyball when you have tears in your eyes, thinking about the mistake you just made. In fact, it's almost impossible. That day really helped me change my perspective, my mentality when approaching both sports and academics. The change didn't happen overnight. It took a while to teach myself, to remind myself that mistakes are part of the game. They're a part of learning and growing. The same concept can be applied to academics. I have always held myself to a high standard in all of my classes, taking the hardest courses and trying to maintain the best grades in them. When I was a freshman and even a sophomore, one bad grade felt like the end-all be-all to my success in a class. But it wasn't. Aside from the fact that one test grade doesn't affect your grade as much as it might feel like it does, putting that stress on yourself to never slip up is too exhausting. Sometimes decisions have to be made that you may not like. After a long game, I would have to choose between devoting my time to a chemistry test or a math test, and sometimes one of those grades would suffer. When it comes to academics, especially at our school, we are privileged to have teachers that truly care about us and understand the stresses that we are facing. In chemistry, Mrs. McMitchins could always tell when I was overwhelmed or upset about how a test went. She called herself a benevolent dictator, reminding me that she wouldn't let me fail, that she had my back. We have to remember that we aren't alone in our journey through high school. We have amazing teachers and coaches who are there for us, not only to learn from, but to lean on. It is completely normal to be holding ourselves to a higher standard. We feel the need to be performing at our best in all aspects of our life in order to be happy and to get into college. I mean, for most of us, that is the goal, right? But being so hard on yourself that the activities that you do for fun are stressful and draining only hurts you. There has to be a balance between pushing yourself to be the best you can be and having unrealistic expectations. What I do when I feel like my world seems to be collapsing around me, when I'm overwhelmed and stressed, is to remind myself of the little wins. Maybe my volleyball team lost a tough match in 5 sets, but I know that I had an important dig that turned into a perfect down ball that helped us score a point. Or I had a good set that let my teammate hit the ball in a perfect spot. Perhaps I didn't get the grade that I wanted to on my chemistry test, but the question about a concept that I had been confused on for the whole unit was the one I got correct. Or I know that that specific test was more difficult, and I'm happy with the effort and time I put in to get the grade that I got. Looking for little wins and what feels like bigger losses is key to keeping your head above water in high school, especially if your schedule is so crowded. I am still hard on myself. I still get frustrated when I feel like I didn't reach the level that I felt like I could. I am a huge perfectionist. That is just a part of my personality. What I have learned is how to continue to move forward when the outcome isn't what I hoped. I have learned that mistakes are okay, that they are how we grow. I am still a crier, even though sometimes I wish I wasn't. But when I am playing my sports, I am focused on the moment I am in. I can't be focused on the past. I have to be focused on what is in front of me. And I can cry after, if I need to. I find the little victories, the small successes every day, whether I consider that day to be a success or a failure. I want you, my classmates, to embrace mistakes as well. Learn and grow from them, but don't let them overwhelm you and bring you down. Find the little wins every day, because there are always accomplishments to be proud of. Sometimes it can be really hard to be the person who is glass half full instead of glass half empty. But if we do that, we will be so much happier. I know that I am. I still have so much more to learn, and I still have so much more life ahead of me. I will always strive for perfection, but many of us will. But like Vince Lombardi said, perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. Thank you.
Good afternoon. When I was younger, my main goal in life was to be just like my older sister Fran. Whatever she did, I did. That is why I aspired to be a professional dancer when I grew up. Unfortunately, that plan fell through for one major reason. During a dress rehearsal for an upcoming recital, my 5-year-old self was too shy and scared to ask if I could use the restroom in the middle of dancing. So instead, I thought it would be better to just pee on stage, rather simply to ask, "May I go to the bathroom?" I stood there, red-faced from the embarrassment, as my mom ran from the audience to get me off stage. From that moment on, I knew that being a professional dancer was off the table. I knew I needed a new plan, so I thought to myself, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? The most commonly asked question when you're 5 or 6 years old goes from being an ambitious dream to a realistic decision of what you should major in, which hopefully leads to a fulfilling career. What I want to be when I grow up, job-wise, is constantly changing as I go along my journey of life. I'm interested in a variety of professions that range from physical therapy to being the head chef in my own restaurant. I don't want to pinpoint just one of them and call it quits. I believe that in my future, I will pick a general path to follow, but that path will create new opportunities within it for me to pursue. By saying that, I've realized that my answer to what do you want to be when you grow up may be different to what the usual answer is, meaning I may not know what I want to be, but rather who I want to be. What I know for sure is that when I grow up, I want to be the combination of the most distinguishable characteristics of those that I love and care for the most in my life. The product of taking what I find so inspiring out of each one and merging them into one human is what I hope to be when I grow up. My mothers, Pam and Leela, are my rocks. They are there for everything, and I mean everything. Whether it's a soccer game or a cross-country meet, at least one of them, sometimes even a dog or two, show up. You can always count on them to roll up in the RV, which is undeniably useful, but at the same time, incredibly embarrassing. They are exceedingly supportive, which attributes to the long list of reasons why they are my biggest role models. Pam is the CEO of Crestwood Medical Center. She is a leader, a mentor, and a scholar. She works exceptionally hard at what she does and is devoted to her work and her family and everything in between, while maintaining unwavering composure. To lead a hospital during the day and then come home and co-lead a household cannot be easy, but she makes it look so. Especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, she has been swamped in work, but has managed to keep her family a priority through it all. She comes home late and stressed, but still manages to make me dinner and have my requested laundry completed by the time I need it. When I grow up, I want to be as devoted as Pam is to my future family and job, while keeping composure to get me through the toughest times without giving up. Leela is a certified mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher and a therapist. She is someone who I feel comfortable going to with any problem, and I know that I will not be judged. I can rely on her for the much needed, but not always wanted, advice, such as suggesting ways I can solve a problem rather than just dwelling on it. She's someone who sees every perspective and reminds me to keep others' feelings in mind as well as mine. She teaches me what it means to be mindful and encourages me to practice it every day. Sometimes I'm not the easiest person to talk to. I'll start telling a story about how ironic it is that I can run 7 miles easily but get winded climbing up a flight of stairs at school. And 5 minutes later, I'll wind up talking about the woman in front of me at Dunkin' that morning that took forever to order. I can also be stubborn, and when I am, it's mostly me refusing to drink the energy shake she makes me every morning at 5 a.m. before cross-country practice. The amount of patience Leela has with me and our conversations is downright impressive. Sometimes I look back at a conversation and think to myself, wow, I wouldn't even talk to me. How did she survive that? Not only is she a great listener, but she always gives me helpful feedback. The wisdom she sheds on every person she speaks to attests to the person she is. She loves to interact with others and will never fail to make a statement that will stick with you for years. She makes this world a better place because of it. I would do anything to have Leela's patience and wisdom. Fran, my older sister, and I are nearly complete opposites. She's more introverted while I'm more extroverted. She's extremely gifted in music and spends her time practicing the clarinet while I spend hours on the track, on the soccer field, and in the workout room. I'm organized and nitpicky while she has more of an organized mess, which to the average eye is just a mess, but for Fran, it works. I believe that the biggest characteristic that sets us apart is how strong-willed Fran is. She likes to be heard and make a difference in the world as best she can. She has her beliefs, which she sticks through anything, and stands up for them whenever she can. If there's a problem, she does everything she can do to fix it. Fran's morality and ability to see that a situation isn't right and try to make a change is what makes her so strong-willed. Having that ability to stand up for what you believe in against all odds is something I aspire to have, just like Fran does. My grandparents have always been a big part of my life. Growing up, my parents, sister, and I would spend every Friday night at their house. They come to as many sporting events as they can. My grandmother, Betty, is probably the toughest person I know. Recently, she fell and shattered her hip. At any age, let alone 88, that pain cannot be easy to tolerate. She handled it like a woman, though. Even though her pain levels were through the roof, she made it seem like it was just a minor inconvenience by carrying on a conversation with me while we waited for my mom to come and check her out. She has always been this way, and it's the most inspiring thing about her that I look up to. To have Betty's toughness would make me invincible. Fred is my grandfather. His background story is so fascinating that I could hear it a million times and never get bored. He studied missiles and radar, was drafted in the Korean War, and worked on the rocket Saturn V. He is also known as the Hockey Man of Huntsville. He helped start the city's first ever hockey association. At the age of 86, he was still playing the sport he adores. He is truly the most intelligent person I've met. Every time I talk to him, I learn something new. To this day, he still likes to work complex math problems in his office. My grandfather's intelligence is something I've always aspired to have and work for. A lot of people have told me that I am a hardworking student athlete. I've been told that I am so dedicated to everything I do and strive to be my best that I can be. I always get extremely flattered whenever someone tells me this, but I can never give myself full credit for being the reason why I'm so dedicated and hardworking. The longest coach I've had is Twig, my cross-country and track coach. Whenever someone compliments me on my dedication to my hobbies, I have Twig to thank. Since the day I met him when I was in 6th grade running rap track, he has done nothing but push and support me. The many training plans he's made for me, the pep talks about mentality and how it's all between the ears, and the constant yelling during workouts or races show that Coach Twig is dedicated to me and making me a better runner. Twig has taught me that even when I feel like I can't give any more effort, I am not done trying. He believes in my potential and pushes me to get out of my comfort zone. Twig has never taken his foot off the gas, and that motivates me to give everything I've got into everything I do. He's proven to me that dedication can and will take me places. My success in what I do all started from Coach Twig and his unconditional support. He showed me what dedication looks like to a team and to yourself. I've looked up to that ever since I met him. Mr. Rayford, my advisor, and I have become extremely close throughout my high school years. When I first got the letter in the mail saying that Mr. Rayford would be my advisor for the next 4 years, I asked my sister, "Who's Mr. Rayford?" She replied by saying that he is someone in her grade's dad. "Oh great, I'm going to have a dad as an advisor," I said. Who knew that 3 years later I would actually consider him a father figure to me? He has the purest soul and always has a smile on his face. He makes others laugh and cares about everyone. He goes the extra mile in everything he does, and all the advisory breakfasts and cookies he's made proves just that. I know I can turn to him with any problem and he'll give me the advice I need. Mr. Rayford's purity and selflessness is what I aspire to have when I grow up. So what do I want to be when I grow up? I want to be the combination of the most distinguishable characteristics of those that I love and care for the most in my life. I want to be as devoted and composed as Pam is, as patient and full of wisdom as Leela is, as strong-willed as Fran is, as tough as Betty is, as intelligent as Fred is, as persistent and determined as Twig is, and as pure and selfless as Mr. Rayford is. Striving to have all these characteristics makes me a better person. I look up to these people and can't help but hope that someday I can obtain all of these qualities and be able to share them with those that will come after me. I encourage you to find what drives you, what motivates you, and what gets you to achieve your goals, because for me, it's the people around me and the qualities they give to the world that I aspire to have and work harder for. Thank you.
Thank you, Eliana and Emma, for sharing with us today. I know it's not easy to stand in front of your peers and share in a speech like that, but you two did an amazing job, and thank you. Also today, Cooper Wyatt, president of the Honor Council, who you've heard from, wanted to share just a few thoughts as we entered back into Level 3.
Hi everyone, this is just a quick reminder to maintain academic integrity as we adjust to the sudden move back to Level 3 instruction next week. Make sure to communicate frequently and honestly with your teachers, coaches, advisors, and administrators. I know that this alteration to our schedule is difficult, but just as we were able to uphold the honor code during the first quarter, I believe that we can all do the same now. Thank you.
Thank you, Cooper. We're also excited this week to announce the YLC officers for this school year. Emma Henson will serve as the executive director, Ridley Fan, the director of operations and communication, Lily Naderi, director of grants, Alex Covert, director of volunteering, and Elizabeth Shannon, director of event coordination. In athletics this week, cross country will head to the Huntsville Metro Championships at Palmer Park on Thursday, and football will have their final home game of the year against DAR. It's senior night, playoffs are on the line, and it's a blackout for those in attendance. We also want to recognize volleyball, whose season ended in the area tournament this past Wednesday. The season clearly had its challenges, but they played and represented Randolph well the entire year. So thank you, girls. In other announcements, clearly we're in Level 3 this week, which means Navy students will be on campus Tuesday and Friday, virtual the other days of the week, and the Silver Group will be on campus today, Monday, and Thursday. Wednesday already was scheduled to be our parent conferences and will remain as such. Homecoming events have changed, obviously, with the move to Level 3. We will not have the PEP convocation as we were going to have on Friday. We also obviously don't have hall decorations, but we're going to continue the dress days. So today and Tuesday on campus will be PJ Day, and Thursday, Friday, B Days, will be Randolph Raiders Spirit Wear. Anyone interested in the wrestling team, please see Coach Green for more information. You can send him a Canvas message or see him at his classroom. Also, boys tennis evaluations will be this week, Tuesday through Thursday on the Drake campus. Again, thank you for everything that you're doing. If we continue to do the things that we need to do, I fully anticipate that we'll be returning to level 2 on Monday. That's the hope of everyone involved, and hopefully we do that. But it will take us all doing what we need to do here on campus each day. So thank you for what you're doing. Let's continue to do it well. Be excellent to each other, and seniors, you're dismissed.